Welcome to the Natural Way of Being video blog. This video is titled, Letting a Phase of Your Life Fall Away. So one of the dimensions of the medicine wheel, or the wheel of life, is that it brings awareness to the various cycles in our lives. And so each kind of phase of our life has a cycle. It has you can consider it like a life cycle. Or in other words, it goes around the medicine wheel. In my tradition, the medicine wheel, it starts in the East with something is like born or conceived, or intended, if you will. And then it moves down into the South where it finds its kind of adolescence. It kind of learns and grows and tries things and stumbles and picks itself up again. Moves into the West where it finds maturity and adulthood and strength. And then finally it moves up into the North, which is a time of kind of wisdom and mastery and kind of old age, if you will, experience and knowledge. And so, and then it moves into the Northeast, which it kind of dies or falls away, this cycle, so a new cycle can be born again in the East. And so we move around the medicine wheel in our lives. And so one of the other things that happens in the North is that it's a time of introspection. In other words, it's a time to kind of look at ourselves and kind of discern and reevaluate our lives. And one of the things we can do at this time is we can kind of evaluate where we're at in the various cycles and phases of our life. Like in some cycles, we might be early on in the cycle, and others may be further along, and others yet they may be complete. So one of the tendencies that we have is to kind of stay in a cycle after its time has run its natural course. So energetically and inside of ourselves, the cycle may be complete. But yet, for some various reason, we stay in it. We may be attached to it. We may be emotionally involved. It may be like a big comfort zone, or it may be a role that we've become identified with. And when we do this, when we stay in a cycle longer than its natural course, it sometimes, becomes less healthy and productive and balanced. Our lives become less balanced, and that's when kind of some haywire things can start, unbalanced things can start manifesting themselves, such as maybe addiction or staying in a comfort zone, or depression, or oppression. And actually, the longer we stay in a cycle after its time has passed, the more oppressive it tends to feel. And by oppressive, I mean it's like closing in and it feels constricting. Whereas when we're in that cycle and it's in the kind of growing, the healthy phase of the cycle, the vital phase of the cycle, it feels like it's kind of expansive. And when the cycle has passed its time, it starts feeling more constrictive or oppressive. So let me give you an example from my own life. So one of the cycles that I was in for most of 2020 and in a little bit to now, I'm still kind of in it in a way, is that it was a very productive time of me working on my website and me kind of reinventing the work I want to do with people and figuring out what types of services I was going to offer. And I created a new logo and business card, and this blog is part of that. And it really was a time of kind of reinventing my business. And when it was in its cycle, it's the heyday of it, in the middle of it, it felt very joyful and vital and alive, and I had a lot of passion toward it. And even though I was working a lot and spending long days, it was like kind of revitalizing me in a way. It was a large part of my life, even though it had a lot of work, I was really getting a lot from it. And then part of that too is that at the end of the day, I might work till 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I'd watch some movie or something to kind of unwind. And this was my life on many days of 2020. It's kind of how I spent COVID in a way. But lately, the feeling of that cycle or that phase of my life, if you will, has changed, and it's no longer feeling vital and passionate and joyful. I'm still working and I still have some work to do in the various projects, but I can kind of get almost a foreshadowing that this isn't a cycle that's gonna continue. It's kind of running its course, is my sense. And I can tell because, again, that feeling of it feeling more constricting, maybe less expansive, more constricting, that it feels like that. It's starting to feel more oppressive, like almost I'm getting frustrated easier, and it almost seems kind of sad and pathetic. Like I look at myself, I really would like to have more of a life. I just like work all the time and I watch some movie. It's like really not a life. So I'm just getting tired of it, and that's a real signal to myself that this cycle is passing and it's time for me to find a way of transition. So once we notice that a cycle may have run its course, it's a real opportunity for us to kind of find a way to transition. And this can be done very gently. We don't have to immediately kind of rigidly just stop doing everything we were doing and do something new. In fact, I recommend you don't do that. Rather, all I'm suggesting is that you just do what I did in my example, is just kind of notice. It's like, this is interesting. This cycle doesn't feel like it did before. It would be kind of fun maybe to try some new things, and it can happen kind of very naturally, because keep in mind that this whole letting the cycle fall away is a natural part of the medicine wheel. We don't have to make it happen. All we need to do is just kind of let it happen. The reason that we're still in the cycle after it's run its course is because we're attached to it in some way or another. We're still engaging with it. So all we need to do is cease engaging with it. And even that can be a practice. It's just like we can just slowly let it go. And when it's time to reinforce it and keep it intact, we can say, I'm not going to reinforce it. I'm just going to let it pass. And then it can pass in its own time and in its own way. And it just kind of naturally falls away. One of the real beautiful things is when we do let something pass, it kind of creates room in our hearts for something new. And then we're back in the medicine wheel again, right? Because we're in the north, we're allowing it to die, and it can come into the east and allow something new to be born. So anyway, that's my video for today. I hope you find it useful. I've gotten a lot of value from it, as I've shared, and hopefully you can as well. So I really hope you enjoy your week and that you can find something new to unfold in your life.